Oh, shoot.
All right, we are recording and just waiting on Greg. Then we should be good.
Yeah, and I know he's in his office and he's got his door shut, so I'm pretty sure he should be calling in any second.
Okay, well, since we've got Patty on and they're lower down on the agenda, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, well, I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Arkansas 529. First thing that I'm going to need is approval of minutes after you review.
I move we approve minutes from the last meeting.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? You go ahead and second. I'll go ahead and second that. Any further discussion? Thank you very much. Moving to our business, we'll go to our director's report. Fran.
Right, thank you. So just a few housekeeping things. At our last meeting, we asked for and received approval to continue conversations with two companies that had reached out to us about their college savings mobile app. And so just to update you, those two companies, one was called Suchi and one was called College Backer. And we have had meetings, virtual meetings with both of them, and are continuing those conversations, but nothing substantial to report at this time, just letting you know that we did meet and are continuing those conversations. In September, Chris, Scott, and I met with the CFO of United Cerebral Palsy here in Arkansas to talk about implementing the Arkansas 529 plan or having it be offered through their benefits package for their employees. And we received word last week that they are interested in setting this up, and they have about 1,000 employees around the state. So we're very excited and very hopeful. And we meet on Monday with their HR person to kind of give them the tools they need to roll this out as part of their HR benefits package. Also next week, the treasurer and I are going to be recording a short video that explains the 529 plan. We've already put together one that explains the ABLE plan, but we felt like this would be a good tool to add to our library, especially in cases where an in-person or a Zoom isn't available. So we will have that video and we'll be happy to show it to you at our next quarterly meeting if some of you don't see it before that. We have a very active marketing and advertising schedule that includes radio, television, direct mail, print, and social media. So in a nutshell, with regards to radio, this is something we've not done before, or at least not that I'm in recent future, with these two radio stations, B98 and Alice 107, which for those of you who aren't here locally, they're contemporary, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today kind of format. And they both have strong young parent and grandparent listenership. So we're doing radio spots with them, and we'll be able to track the effectiveness through hopefully the reporting that we get, Dave, with your group when people answer how they heard about it. We continue to run television spots here that feature the treasurer talking about the benefits of opening up a 529 for new parents, and started those spots in September, and they will wind up in December, and we are running them in Northwest, Central, and Northeast Arkansas, so pretty good coverage there. Then with direct mail, I think Chris is going to show you, we've been working with the census on a direct mail postcard that's going to target about 6,000 households throughout Arkansas that have children 0 to 12 months. And obviously we're appealing to the very sleep deprived new mom here. and suggesting that they can rest easier by opening up an account for an Educate 529 account for their child. And we'll be sending that out, I believe, at the end of next week. So again, we'll be able to track the effectiveness of this and hopefully generate some new accounts through this campaign. And then just to round it out, print ads, we ran an ad in the November 2nd issue of Arkansas Business. It wasn't this one, but it was one that targets business owners, talking to them about the benefits of offering the 529. And then in December, this is the ad we're going to run in the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal. So kind of getting into the holiday messaging with this message. And then finally, on social media, we're going to continue to push the newborn theme, as well as the benefits of opening or contributing to a 529 as a holiday gift idea. And we'll also do that on radio. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Any questions or clarification? Okay.
Fran, thank you very much. We appreciate that. Moving on, we need approval from the board for checks and invoices,
Yes.
FY 2021 budget. So it's back to you.
Well, and you all should have in your packet a list of the checks that we've written since the last meeting. So unless there are any questions, I wanted to ask for a motion for approval on the checks.
I don't have any questions. I move that we approve the checks and invoices to be paid.
Great.
We have a motion on the floor to approve. Do I have a second? I will second that motion. Any further discussion? Thank you very much. And was that approved, the budget?
No, we got to do
Okay,
that.
Fran?
Well, and actually, I'm going to defer to Grant. So
Hold on, I've got an objection somewhere.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay,
That-
well, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was chiming in. I didn't know who that was.
That would be Rue, and so I'm going to mute and put her outside while I let Grant take over.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask Chris to go ahead and pull up the proposed FY 2021 budget. And essentially what we've done is we've replicated FY 2020, made a few adjustments to tighten the belt on a few things, but essentially everything is kind of flat for this going into this year. We do anticipate income bumping up as we kind of continue to be over the $1 billion threshold, but you'll see we've been a little bit conservative on that end as well. So with that, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer those right now.
So the Invite education programming that's new this year, can you go in a little bit into detail on that?
Right. It's a continuation. This would be the FY 2021 is the second year of a 3-year agreement with that. But this is the collegesaver.org website where we partnered with the Student Loan Authority, Higher Ed, 529, and the Treasurer's Office all came together to really give that one-stop kind of look for individuals searching for college. So it goes over how the expense of colleges all across the country, scholarships that are available here in the state and nationally, what it would take to finance going to Harvard versus going to U of A. So it looks at all those various things. It plugs in some deadlines as well that you need to be aware of as you're going through the planning stages. And you can kind of set it up to where it essentially tracks your kind of 529 as well. So you're sitting here going, all right, I've got a kid that's going into kindergarten and I want to be able to send them to UCA. What am I going to need to save and what are the goals that I need to set all throughout their tenure and as they go through school to make sure that I have enough money to be able to pay for that.
All right.
So, yeah,
Thank
so this is kind of that next payment. Each of the 4 entities do have a share of the expense with that, and this is 529 share.
Okay. Very good. Thanks for that explanation.
Any further questions?
And I do need a motion.
Yes.
Nope.
Hearing that, I need a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 21.
And I'm about to sneeze. That does not occur. Maybe I can hold off. Thank you. Here, do I have a second? I will second that. Any further discussion? Thank you very much. Looks like we're moving on to Mr. John Peace for a report on our, John, are you there?
John, you're muted.
Okay,
John.
I'm here. Sorry about that. Yeah, the administrative account budget versus actual. The income is a little bit ahead of budget. This is for the first 4 months of the fiscal year. Expenses are pretty much in line. It was pretty much a break even. The expenses exceeded income by about $600, and at the end of October, the admin accounts had a total of $116,000.
Thank you, John. Dave, are you there?
I'm here. Let's see if I can share my
Hey,
screen.
Mr. Florida State.
Absolutely. We're having a wonderful season.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's all about them Razorbacks, but excuse me, we'll go on. So
I know it's been a tough year. Chris, you probably need to disable your screen because I can't share yet. Chris, can you hear me? You need to enable me to share because right now I can't share.
Yeah, let me try to figure that out right quick.
Go to the arrow by share screen, click up, and then allow all participants to share.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you, Dave.
No problem. Okay. So congratulations. Your assets as of the end of October were over 480 million, but as over yesterday, you crossed $500 million for the first time for GIFT. You finished out the day yesterday with 505 million in assets. So congratulations. It's been a nice run up this year. Contributions so far in the year as of the end of October have totaled over $40 million. That's 2.4 million over what we saw during the same time frame last year. We did see slightly more withdrawals year to date, 33.8 versus 32.8 last year to date. So people are still paying for the education. The good news is these are mostly by far qualified withdrawals. So when you do the math, the net inflows equals about 6.8 million positive. That's a 27.9% increase over what we saw year to date in 2019. Nice increase, to say the least. Funded accounts, we ended October with 30,894 funded accounts, which is a net gain of 1,167 year to date. And the average account size has remained fairly stagnant at 15,579. But when you look at the average account balance by Benny age, obviously the older the Benny is, and closer they're getting ready to go to college, the higher the average is. So this graph hasn't really changed much since I introduced it. And then iShares real quickly, iShares finished out October at 526 million. As of yesterday, they were up to 559 million. So a serious gain over the first couple of weeks here in November. Funded accounts stand at 14,357. Average account balance is over 36,600. Just one comment on the trust. The trust asset level now stands at 1,064 million. So you guys continue to push forward on the trust levels. UGIFT and UPromise. So for UGIFT, the gift plan has exceeded 6.8 million in contributions through UGIFT. iShares has exceeded 1.7 million. Arkansas Gift has seen over 11,600 gifts being received. The iShares plan is closing in on 2,000 gifts. The average gift amount for gift plan is $587. Average for iShares is $863. And then switching over to UPromise, we are closing in on 1.9 million in free money from the UPromise program, with over 3,500 gift plan participants linked to the UPromise plan. Any questions? All right, very good. Thank you.
John, thank you so very much. Moving on, Joy, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am, Treasurer. Let me just share my screen here. So first, thank you all for having me. My colleague Julia Ward asked if I could cover for her since she had another board meeting. My name is Joy Slaybaugh. I'm a Senior Relationship Manager at Vanguard. And I thought I'd briefly share with you just a little bit, well, I'll just give you our investment recommendations on our existing age-based portfolios, share briefly about the new portfolio option that you all have a choice to adopt, and then briefly hit on performance. So the age-based portfolios that you all currently have, it's a very simple update here. We do not have any recommended changes for this year, so we stand by these portfolios. They are great, and we are prepared to continue supporting them for our clients that choose to retain these age-based portfolios. We do have an option to adopt a new portfolio that we're calling the target enrollment portfolio. And this portfolio operates differently than the age-based. So if you look at this slide 10 in the deck, or you can look at my screen here, the dotted lines show the 3 age-based portfolios that Arkansas currently has: an aggressive, a moderate, and a conservative portfolio. These, as you can see, this is showing how the equity allocation, and it steps down every couple of years. Well, this new portfolio option called the target enrollment portfolio is the blue line. It's one single glide path that is adjusted every quarter, so it's very smooth. And the benefit of this new portfolio is that it makes the investment decision for account owners easier. Today, people have to ask themselves, well, what kind of investor am I? Am I aggressive? Am I moderate? Am I conservative? Some people know, but plenty of people don't know. And so the idea of this target enrollment portfolio is there's one single investment option, and the sole decision about which portfolio to get comes down to what year is my child enrolling in school. So if they want to use this for college and the baby was born this year, then it's like, well, 18 years from now, that would be 2038. All right, I put my child in the target 2038 portfolio. It also makes it easy for K through 12 investing, something that's not very intuitive today with the age-based, because, all right, the baby's born today, and I want to use this money for kindergarten. It's 5 years from now. All right, target 2025 is where I put the money. So we're introducing this as an option. It's not a recommendation, it's an option. You can keep the age-based, or you can, if some states are choosing to adopt this target enrollment portfolio just because it simplifies the investment decision for account owners. So before I move on to discuss performance, I'll pause. Any questions that you all have about this?
Joy, this is Grant. Say I wanted to do both. I wanted to focus on K through 12, but then I also needed to plan for college because that's obviously the next step.
Mm-hmm.
How, with this proposed targeted, how do you manage that?
Mm-hmm. It's great. You can have 2 portfolios. So you can have one portfolio that you, like 2025 for the kindergarten, and you put the kindergarten money there. You can have another portfolio for college and put the college money there. So it makes it easy for people to allocate money for one savings goal versus another. They can hold up to 5 different portfolios, so for each beneficiary. So that should cover all of the education needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? All right, then in that case, let's talk about performance. Just a moment here. A lot of things I'm juggling on one tiny laptop screen. It's a lot of fun.
Very
So just a quick update about what's happened in the last quarter. And there's been a lot that's gone on this year, as you all likely know. And it's certainly been reflected in the markets. There's been a lot of volatility in equities. And, there have been some quarters that have seen tremendous growth. Some quarters have seen losses. Overall, year to date, there's been actually pretty strong growth in the equities. And the third quarter certainly helped contribute to that. Now, since the third quarter, there's been more volatility, a lot of uncertainty based on all the headlines that you see is certainly driving uncertainty, which drives volatility in equities. Fixed income, on the other hand, has actually done quite well this past year. Those dropping interest rates help fixed income, and it's been a very strong year for fixed income. Looking forward, we expect market volatility to continue. I think no surprise there, been a lot of volatility. We think it'll continue, which really just reinforces the importance of diversification. And the portfolios that you all offer to account owners in this plan are well diversified, which is the most important thing that will help investors really survive the uncertainty in these markets as they're saving for their education goals. So what we've seen in the markets, you really see reflected in the performance of the portfolios. Let me zoom in here. So I just want to highlight a couple things about the performance. This first portfolio here, the aggressive growth portfolio, this is entirely equities. And this is the portfolio that people with very young children are using. So maybe their child is a toddler and they're saving for college 16, 17 years from now. It's all equities, and you see volatility. So for the year, it's done great, almost 10%, but last month lost 3%. This is really typical in an equity portfolio. But the good news is that these account owners have a long time. They're 16, 17 years until college. So they have time to they can wait out the volatility and wait for the market to come back, if you will. Then I also want to highlight the income portfolio here at the bottom. So this is all fixed income and cash. And this is the kind of portfolio that people are using when their child is in college and they're writing those tuition checks. And you see here, this performance is much more stable. It's quite strong for the year, 3.75%. And for the last month, it's been low. That's because interest rates are so low, but still you can see there's positive performance throughout the year, small at times, but still is positive, which is important because when you're writing those tuition checks, you want to make sure that you want to avoid the losses. So you're not writing checks off losses and locking them in. So this also, it reiterates the importance of making sure investors are aligned to the goals that are appropriate or aligned to portfolios that are appropriate for their goals. If they are, then they're well suited to weather the uncertainties that are likely to continue happening. Any questions about performance? All right, then thank you for the opportunity to update. I'll turn it back over to you, Treasurer.
Well, thank you, Joy, and we're glad you got to be a part of our board this morning. We look forward to seeing you again. John Park?
Yes, okay, I will share my screen now. All right, can everybody see that?
We can.
All right, awesome. So I won't go into too much detail since Joy covered a lot of the overall market commentary, but obviously we also continue, we being BlackRock, continue to see a lot of volatility. There's been a lot of volatility in the marketplace. A lot of unsettled things, as everybody has been following, I'm sure, in 2020. Just to give a little bit of insight into generally what BlackRock is thinking. We actually just had a global town hall yesterday talking about our company's plans for the coming year as it relates to the coronavirus situation, we have extended our work from home policy through the first quarter of next year. TBD beyond that. We actually received a briefing from our medical experts as well as from our biotech analysts that cover the vaccines and everything that's in development right now. Obviously, I think everybody's just paying extremely close attention to what's happening there as far as developments are concerned, but you might have seen that Pfizer announced that their latest vaccine was extremely successful in their clinical trials. They have essentially 50 million doses ready for potential delivery in 2020, but it's a 2-dose treatment. So that really means that 25 million people could be treated. Also, that vaccine has to be delivered at extremely low temperatures. I think it's something like -75 Celsius or something like that, which most health facilities do not have the capability of handling, right? So there are logistical challenges ahead. And, I think we, along with the rest of the world, await the other trials and evidence of whether or not they work. But there's still a lot ahead in terms of approvals and all of that sort of stuff, as well as, like I said, distribution, logistical issues. So, in terms of internal guidance given to our employees anyway, we don't expect substantial changes to really happen until the end of the summer, if not going into the fall of next year. Hopefully, come this time next year when everybody's thinking about cold, flu, and now COVID season, the country and the world will be better prepared to kind of deal with everything that's going on. So that's just a little bit of what BlackRock is thinking. To get to the plan, so we are happy, as Dave mentioned, as Joy mentioned, that the market has continued to be favorable. So, as of the end of October, the plan stands at, the iShares plan stands at 526 million. As Dave mentioned, we've had a couple of favorable weeks as well, so the market's run up from there. So we're excited about that. Jumping ahead to Arkansas specific results as of October 31st, end of October, the plan assets within the state of Arkansas have increased 11% since the end of last year, which is pretty amazing considering everything that we've been going through this year. So that the plan assets are at 48 million. Still same number of firms, the number of financial advisors that are accessing the plan continues to grow. So that's up 14%. We're at 357 advisors and 2,972 accounts, which is up 11% as well. So the average account size in Arkansas, because everything, because overall the plan sales have been so robust and the number of account signups as well as the number of financial advisors selling the plan have been very strong. The average account size is actually dipping because we're getting more and more new accounts, which is, kind of counterintuitive, but, really good for the long-term health of the plan because we need, new accounts with younger beneficiaries to sustain the continued growth of the plan. Notable here on the right side is that Edward Jones just continues to sign up more advisors to use the Arkansas plan, which we're very excited about. So there's 156 advisors in the state of Arkansas that are using the plan, which is just amazing. Raymond James also has been growing their number of advisors pretty significantly as well. So they're stand at 47 advisors. You're all familiar with Stephens. They're at 25 advisors. LPL has also been increasing, but overall, just the number of advisors using the plan, as you can see, has increased pretty dramatically. And, as we continue to spread the word about the plan within the state, we anticipate that growth continuing. So that's really it about the plan. Things are status quo, but healthy. And, we continue to plug away, spreading the message of the iShares 529 plan.
John, thank you. You bring good news. So we don't, we're not going to kill the messenger. So thank you very much for that great report. Moving on, I've got Patty and Greg, Landmark. We need approval for an engagement letter. Is that correct? So Patty? Do I have
I think what we were going to do today was do a quick run through on the 2019 audit that we have completed, and then go through the engagement letter after that. So I'm going to turn it over to Greg to review the audit reports, and then we'll pop over to me to finish up with the engagement letter.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to start with the gift plan first. Let me share my screen. Okay. So we issued these reports back in February of 2020, but the pandemic decided it didn't want us to get together to meet. So apologize for the delay in presenting these. I want to say that for the audits for the year ended June 30, 2019, we were still able to go on site to a census twice, once the beginning of 2020 and at the end of 2019 as well. We talked to Vanguard throughout the audit process, and we had no issues. The audit report itself was clean. We found no issues in the audit as well as in the compliance audit or the Yellow Book report, which is at the very end of the financial statements, which we'll get into in a little bit. Because this is back from June 30, 2019, I don't want to go too much in detail about the numbers, but from 2018 to 2019, you had a net increase, a net position of almost $36 million with an increase in contributions and withdrawals. When we present the June 30, 2020 financial statements, we'll put together a more in-depth analysis over the previous 5 years and show the planned growth for those 5 years between contributions, withdrawals, net position, and even active accounts. So we'll go into a little more detail about that. The main thing I would like to discuss today is in October 12, 2018, there was a glide path breakout that offered 6 new portfolio options. We tested that in detail on the investment side and the participant side. So on the investment side, we made sure that the buys and the sells on that day went out of the old portfolios into the correct portfolios, and that those netted to zero. Had no issues there. In addition, on the participant side, we determined that we selected certain accounts and made sure that they migrated from the old portfolio into the appropriate new portfolio, and the amounts transferred as well. Again, no issues there. In addition to that, we always focus on fees, very in depth. We get a listing of fee amounts received for the year from the committee as well as the census. We recalculated them for each portfolio, very in-depth procedures, and we found no issues there either. Any questions on the GIFT June 30, 2019 financial statements? I will say before that there was no large changes to the report. We did add in the MD&A a COVID impact, which everybody's aware of. In addition to that, we also added note 5, subsequent event, and that was in accordance with standards. You'll see that as well on the iShares plan, just pretty much stating that at the time the report was issued, we didn't know what the impact, if any, was going to be on the account owner minds if they wanted to take more out or invest more. So that's the reasoning for these footnotes. So if there's no questions on the GIFT, I'll go to the iShares. Okay. Okay, iShares as well. We had no issues in the compliance audit piece, which is the Yellow Book. So what we did there is we determined that with the management agreement, the program description, that that everything that those agreements stated that it was in accordance with account owner instructions. So we detail tested certain accounts that we selected. Again, no issues there. As you'll see that iShares had an increase of over 57 million from 2018 to 2019, so another great year there. Same with GIF, we'll put together a 5-year trend analysis, and we'll go over in depth when we present the 2020 financial statements. Oh, sorry for the scrolling. There was one small change in the iShares, I guess, lineup is the 2018 college portfolio was closed and all the assets were transferred to the iShares college portfolio, and a new portfolio option was added. So on the new portfolio, the iShares 2036 college portfolio, we determined that the only real issue that we could see from a new portfolio is that fees were not accrued at the time of creation. But we determined that Mellon started the accrual at the date of October 31st, 2018, which is what we would expect. In addition, for the 2018 college portfolio, we made sure that all assets moved to the proper portfolio on the correct date. And then no issues there. So there was no major footnote changes as well, other than the subsequent events that we've kind of talked about. So if there's any questions regarding anything that we audited for the June 30, 2019, then I'll be happy to answer it. If not, we'll have Patty go to the 2020 engagement letter. Okay.
Thank you.
And can everyone see my screen now?
Yes.
Is it really big?
It's a bit too small.
Okay. I'm still not great at this, guys. Hopefully I won't ever have to get good at it because I really miss seeing you all in person. This is the proposed June 30, 2020 engagement letter for the audit services for GIFT and iShares. This is a tri-party engagement letter, meaning it is signed by Landmark and then by the committee and then also by the folks of the census. So that's why you see the word draft on here, because everybody has to review it and get happy with it. Obviously, we're happy with it because we've given it to you, but it goes through a process at a census before they will actually sign it. And so the key components of this letter are explanations of our responsibilities, letting you all know that when we do an audit in accordance with standards, we don't test 100% of the transactions. And we do a risk assessment. We decide where the risk is. Like Greg mentioned earlier, we feel like the risk is in the payment of the asset-based fee, or the calculation and payment of the asset-based fees, and in the management of participant accounts. And so we do a lot of testing around those two elements, but we don't test everything because we would never finish. And then there's a section in here about management's responsibility. And when we talk about management, we're primarily talking about the folks at a census. However, we do get key pieces of audit information from our friends, John, and the folks at Vanguard also provide things to us. So between BlackRock and Vanguard, we are also talking about management with certain of these elements that are listed in this engagement letter. But basically what this says is that you being management are responsible for the financial statements. You're responsible for providing us information. You're responsible for answering our questions. And if you don't do that, then it's hard for us to do our job. There's the management responsibility section. And then also it is important for the committee to know that we do certain services that are above and beyond that which would be required to issue our opinion in accordance with professional standards. We do provide assistance in the clerical aspects of drafting the financial statements. We do provide assistance in the clerical aspects of drafting the supplementary information. And we also post certain entries to make sure that the investment and participant balances are on a trade date basis in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So these are extra services that we do outside of the regular audit requirement. This section about reporting lets you know that at the end of the audit, you will get an audit report, of course, but you will also get a letter from us that addresses these key items that are listed here. And then there's a whole section on confidentiality. As you all would suspect, that we touch a lot of personal information when we are testing our participant accounts. And so this is the part where Landmark agrees to keep all of this information confidential. And if a breach occurs in our firm, where someone may have potentially accessed participant information, we will disclose that to the committee and to a census as soon as reasonably possible. We take extra measures to try to keep that from happening, and we do not retain participant information in our files, but we do access it when we're testing. The rest of this is our commitment to a census to say, hey, if you want to come in and look at our security, our data security, you're more than welcome to do that, and we're going to comply. A census has very stringent security standards, and we agree to comply with those. And then the last section is the fees, and as you budgeted, actually you budgeted $2,000 too much. We have kept the fees the same for at least the past 5 years, and we have charged you for expenses previously, but with the restrictions on travel, and we don't expect any of our staff to be going to a census to actually be in person on site, we've eliminated the out-of-pocket and travel allowance of $1,000 per plan. And so it's $87,000 instead of $89,000 this year.
Cool.
Last section, we are letting you know that we are audited by other auditors to make sure that we comply with standards, and that audit report from the most recent audit we have is provided to you in Exhibit B. And I believe that I have covered all of the major topics in the engagement letter. So you all obviously can take time to review and maybe approve it at the next meeting, or you can look at it again, approve it in theory today, but then if you have questions, let me know. Like I said, it will take time for this to get through a census, probably another couple of weeks. So you have time to read it and comment on it if you want to over the next few weeks, I'm sure. Wasn't that exciting?
Okay, thank you, Patty and Greg. It's a choice of the chair that we go ahead and approve today, if at all possible. Again, if there is something that stands out, I'm sure we can address that. But again, it is the choice of the chair. With that being said, do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, I move that we approve the landmark engagement letter.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I will provide that second. Any further discussion on the approval of the engagement letter to Landmark? Hearing none, it's approved. Thank you so very much. We look forward to our continuation of working with y'all.
Thank you.
Moving on, Grant, new business.
Yeah, I think Fran had a couple items of new business. If we'll turn to her real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a bit of good news. We went through the Morningstar rating process, and a few weeks ago, about a month ago, learned that our Morningstar rating has increased. We have gone from negative to neutral. So we are heading in the right direction, but we're very, very excited by the increase and the accolades from them for that. So just wanted to let the group know and just thank you all, and Dave, thank you for helping us as well pull all that information together. So that was really fun. That's all. That's all I have.
We appreciate it. Let me take a moment of personal privilege to say I've been so excited about what Fran has brought to the table for us and to the board, and just visiting with her as often as I get to, just seeing again what she has, the master plan. I think she's brought into what is one of my favorite entities as being the Treasurer of State is the 529. I think John Park, Dave Ponder have mentioned, actions speak louder than words, and we certainly, our numbers are proving that. So again, just a little attaboy for Fran. So we thank you for that, Fran.
Thank you very much. That was very nice. Thank you, Treasurer.
Proposed dates for our next meeting will be Q1 2021 will be Tuesday, March 16 at 10 a.m. Quarter 2 will be Tuesday, June 8th at 10 a.m., quarter 2, 2021. Any further questions or comments before we close? Hearing none, I propose that we adjourn. Do I have a motion?
I move we adjourn.
I approve. Thank you until we meet again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.